Hello folks, it's Mr. Neil here, and in this video I'm going to review the Website Design and Development Unit from National 5 Computing Science. In this unit, we need to analyse website problems, design solutions to those problems, and then implement websites that utilise HTML and CSS, and we should also be able to identify JavaScript. And then we finish off by testing and evaluating our websites, ensuring they're fit for purpose. You can find the full unit specification for website design and development and the National 5 Computing Science course specification, which is available on the SQA website. When developing a website, it's important to consider the target audience. These are your end users. By considering who the end users are, this will help the developers ensure that the website will work best for the end users. A website for primary children will work different to a website for university students. The end user requirements are what visitors to your website want to do in it. For example, users to Twitter want to be able to see tweets of the people that they follow and what is trending. Functional requirements describe what functions the website is required to do. At this stage, the developers will start to think what they need to include, create or code to ensure the website provides and meets the end user requirements. For example, in Twitter, to ensure that a user can see the tweets of people they follow, the website must provide a login functionality and the ability to find tweets and display them in chronological order. Moving on to design. A website will consist of a home page and other pages that it's linked to and potentially links to external website. The website design should include a diagram illustrating the plan of the navigation between each page. So in this example for Roslyn Academy, we have a home page that is then linked to 3 other pages, and from these 3 pages we can get back to the home page, as denoted by the double-headed arrows. From the subject page we can then go to the SQA website. As this is an external link, the link is only one way. There is no guarantee that I can get from the SQA website back to the subjects page. Once we've designed the overall layout of the whole website, we can then move on to the design of each individual page. A wireframe provides a clear example of what a web page should look like and shows where different media is to be displayed. A wireframe should show the location of text, graphics, video and sounds, where hyperlinks will go, and any interactivity. Once we've produced a wireframe, we can then move on to a low fidelity prototype. Low fidelity prototypes will often include more detail than a wireframe, and they're produced fairly quickly, traditionally using pen and paper. Images and videos might contain hand-drawn versions of the final media or examples of what the developer would like to include. Low fidelity prototypes are then shown to the end user groups, and their feedback should be considered when the final version of the website is being developed. When putting together the design of a website, it's important to consider a number of different factors. Ensuring the website has a good visual layout means it should be clear and not too cluttered. Colours of panels or white space can be used to identify different areas of the page. Large, bold and coloured text can be used to highlight important elements. It's important to ensure that the website is readable. This means that there's not too much text or clutter on the screen. It is also worth considering the reading level of your target user. The content and the way it's presented will vary depending on the target user. For example, the CBeebies or CBBC website utilises short and simple sentences for the younger age ranges. A well-designed website is consistent, and that means that navigation bars will be located in the same place on each page, and the visual layout of all pages will be similar, with fonts and image size and positioning being consistent. The Copyright Designs and Patent Act is a wide-ranging piece of legislation in the UK, with there being equivalent legislation across the globe. Web developers need to consider the copyright status of all elements of a web page. Audio, image or video files used on a website may not be owned by the website developer. In these cases, credit for use of the multimedia must be given and the relevant permission to use the multimedia needs to be sought. This sometimes may involve a fee being paid to the copyright owner. Failure to comply with the Copyright Designs and Patent Act can result in fines and prosecution. This applies to the end user who illegally downloads media without the permission of the copyright holder, and businesses who include copyright material on their website without permission. You can see the 2 images on the screen are taken from the BBC News website, where they have attributed the image to the copyright holder. Web developers will consider the format of the media files that they will be used on their website. Let's look at some different standard file formats, starting with audio. WAV and MP3 are 2 common formats used to store audio. WAV files are almost always uncompressed, and they have a high quality. The sample rate of a WAV file is 44.1 kHz to 48 kHz. MP3s are compressed using a lossy technique, therefore the quality of the sound depends on the level of compression. It is often difficult for humans to notice the difference between WAV and MP3 files. The sample rate for an MP3 is the same as a WAV. Both formats generally capture at 44.1 kHz per second. It is possible to reduce the sampling rate, in which case the overall file size would be reduced. However, reducing the sampling rate would also reduce the overall quality of the sound as less data is captured per second. Now moving on to graphic file formats. JPEG, GIF and PNG are three common image formats. JPEGs are compressed using lossy techniques and have a colour depth of up to 24 bits per colour. This means that a JPEG can store up to 16,770,216 colours. GIFs are compressed using lossless techniques and support both animation and transparency. They have only up to 8-bit colour, and this means that they only have 256 colours. As a result of the number of colours available, this means GIFs are not a good file format to store photographs. GIFs are used for icons and cartoons. A PNG is compressed using lossless techniques. It supports transparency. It can also support animation, but an additional extension is required. And like a JPEG, it has up to 24-bit colour depth. There are a number of factors that we need to take into consideration that can affect the file size of an image. The resolution is the number of pixels in an image. A high resolution will have a large number of small pixels. High resolution graphics have a better quality than low res graphics, but have a larger file size since they have to store the colours of more pixels. The colour depth is the number of bits that are used for the colour code of each pixels. The higher the number of bits, then the higher the number of colours that can be represented. Increasing the colour depth will give better colour quality in a graphic because a wider range of colours is available, but this will also increase the size of the file. Compression is used to reduce the size of images, audio and video files included in a website. By compressing files, we ensure that they take up less space within our website server and they can be transferred over to the client's computer over the internet a lot faster than uncompressed files. Whilst compression is generally good, there can be a trade-off between compression rates and quality. There are a range of different compression techniques that we can use, however these can be grouped into two categories. Lossy compression is where some of the original data is removed when the file is compressed. This means that the original file can never be retrieved. For an example, M3 is compressed by removing sounds outside the range of human hearing. Lossless compression utilises mathematical algorithms to reduce the file size without any data loss. Although the original data is maintained, this leads to a lower compression ratio when compared to lossy compression. This means that lossless files are usually larger in size than lossy files. Let's now move on to looking at how we implement our websites. HTML defines the structure of a web page. HTML consists of tags which you use to enclose different parts of the web page to make them appear in a certain way. We'll now have a very quick look at all the different HTML tags that you should be able to use at National 5. We start with the basic page structure. Every web page will have this structure, where all tags are encased in HTML, and then the page is split up into the head and the body. Inside the head we put the title and any other information, for example links to external CSS files, internal CSS or JavaScript. We can format headings using the H1 through to H6 tags. The paragraph tag is used to format paragraphs. To insert images, we use the IMG tag. Within the IMG tag, we specify the source of the image. We can also, if we wish, specify the width and the height of the image. To insert hyperlinks that will take us to other pages within our own website or external websites, we use the A tag. The href dictates the name of the page or the web address that we are going to go to. In this case, the top link is an internal hyperlink taking us to a page within our current website, and the bottom one is an external hyperlink taking us to a page in another website. The top link is a relative hyperlink and the bottom link is an absolute hyperlink. The text underlined in green is what the user will see and click on to take them to the appropriate web page. To insert video, we use the video tag, specifying the controls in the source. Audio is very similar to video in that we use an audio tag and source tag. We have a number of list options within HTML. We can use OL to insert numbered lists, and we can use UL to insert bulleted lists. The items that we want to be listed are included inside an LI tag. The div tag is used for defining a section of your document. With the div tag, you can group large sections of HTML together and format them using CSS. Let's now look at CSS. Cascading style sheets are used to style web pages. We can generally speaking put our CSS in two different places. It can be included in the head of each document, and this is only applied to one single page. External CSS is placed in an external file, and a link is placed in the head of the HTML documents. This means that one style sheet can be applied to multiple pages. A CSS rule consists of the following three parts: a selector, a declaration block which includes a property, and a value. So looking at the example on the right hand side, our selector in this case is the paragraph tag. Within our curly brackets we have our declaration block. Within each declaration we have the property that we are changing, followed by the value that we are setting it to. Between the property and the value we have a colon, and between each declaration we have a semicolon. An HTML class attribute is used to assign some property to HTML elements. All HTML elements within the same class will have the same format applied to them using CSS. An HTML ID attribute is used to specify a unique ID for an HTML element. You cannot have more than one element with the same ID in an HTML document. On the right hand side we have a number of UK cities listed, with Scottish cities being blue, English cities being red, Welsh cities being green, and Edinburgh being in yellow. Let's now have a look at how we use classes and IDs to implement this. You can see that I have added a class to the div called Scotland and a class to the div called England. Then within my CSS I have declared a class called Scotland and applied CSS. I have declared a class called England and applied CSS. The H2 heading for Edinburgh has had the ID Edinburgh added to it. And then within my CSS I have declared formatting for the Edinburgh ID. Moving on now to JavaScript. JavaScript is a scripting language that is used to add interactivity to a website. At National 5 level you're expected to understand how JavaScript works, but not implement it. Looking at the example that we have on screen here, we have two buttons. When I click on the button, the image then changes. JavaScript is event based. An event must take place before the JavaScript is run. In this case, the mouse clicks on the button. There are a number of different JavaScript events. We have on mouse over, and this action occurs when the mouse is moved onto an element. We have on mouse out, and this action occurs when the mouse is moved out of an element. And lastly, we have on click, and this action occurs when the user clicks on an element. JavaScript statements are grouped together in code blocks called functions, and these usually appear within the head of our document. The instructions inside a function are only executed when they are called, thus the event-driven language. Once we have implemented the HTML, CSS and JavaScript within our website, it is necessary to test our website. Website testing takes the form of ensuring that each page matches the design, all links and navigation work, text and media is correct, and lastly the website is consistent. Once we've tested our website we can then go in to evaluate it. In terms of website evaluation, we're looking at its fitness for purpose. A website is deemed to be fit for purpose if it meets the end user and functional requirements determined at the analysis phase. In this video I have reviewed the National 5 Computing Science Website Design and Development Unit, covering analysis, design, implementation of HTML, CSS and JavaScript, and then testing and evaluation. If there are any aspects of this unit that you're not sure of, I recommend that you undertake further revision, utilising the range of resources available to support you. These resources may include those from your own classroom teacher, or those available on the SQA, BBC Bitesize and Scholar websites.